The average house price in Northern Ireland has risen by £14,000 in just 1 year. But honestly, that does not mean that every property is a good investment. I'm Emer, founder of NI Property Girl, where we help clients from around the world to build property portfolios here in Northern Ireland, which have generated more than £20 million in rental income alone. So today we're visiting 3 client properties, each one at a very different stage of the investment process. So at the first one, we really need to decide whether the property is worth buying, because one expensive problem could be enough to make the numbers just stop working. At the second property, the walls are nearly ready to be closed. It's a really exciting stage, but before that actually happens, we need to make sure that there's nothing that has been missed behind them. And then at the third house, the renovation should be finished and the property should be ready to be photographed. But what we need to check and decide is whether it is genuinely ready for the market. So today we're answering 3 questions. Should we make an offer? Can we close those walls? And is that finished property actually finished? Okay, so the first property that we're looking at this week is for Andy. So Andy is new to investing, which is great, but he really wants a fixer-upper, something that we can add value to, and he wants us to take care of the entire process. So why does this property look like it's going to be a good one for him?
Okay, so on paper, the condition gives us plenty of areas where we could improve the property, but that doesn't automatically make it a good investment. We need to identify the problems, work out what it will cost, and to make the property compliant as a buy-to-let, and understand how much value the actual renovation could realistically add to that property on that street.
And tell me something that's going to not allow this to happen. Like, what are the big problems that could stand out?
Yeah, so like a major issue, like such as the roof, or extensive electrical work, or making the property like not non-mortgageable or non-mortgageable at present, as I know Andy is buying the property as a buy-to-let mortgage, so that could just push the costs too far or make the property not aligned with Andy's criteria. We also need to be careful that we don't spend more improving the property than what the surrounding street dictates in terms of the maximum sale price on that street.
Okay, so we're not going there to decide whether the house looks bad or not, because we can fix a house that looks bad. It's really to find out what's underneath and whether the numbers are going to work for him.
Yep, 100%.
Andy's really looking for something that he can add a huge amount of value to. So buy it, do it up, and then remortgage it to pull a lot of money back out again. So really hope that there's nothing here that is going to put us off and mean that this isn't a go. So this is Andy's house, hopefully, potentially. So first thing we notice when we come in is take a big whiff, a big smell. It's quite musty, a wee bit of damp. So it's either damp or just the last people lived here haven't opened the window since. The first thing we're doing when we come to a viewing, and it should always be in the top of your list, is having a look at the electric consumer unit. So for this one, it's clearly quite old. So we will need to look at, do we just need to update the consumer unit and price for that? We do the smoke alarms, all the light fixtures, or is this a complete rewire? We've just arrived at this potential house for Andy. Given his criteria, what would make this a firm no specifically for him?
I'm Jacob, the acquisitions manager for NI Property Girl. So Andy's total acquisition budget is 75 grand. As you can see from looking around the house, like this house requires extensive work inside. So for example, like a major work, like let's say if we were to replace the roof on the top of the house, that would be a firm no for Andy, but it could work for another investor who just has a slightly higher budget. But given the 75 grand budget that we have of total acquisition and the extensive work inside, that would just be a firm no for Andy. The danger with a property like this isn't necessarily one major problem, it's several expensive problems appearing at the same time.
Right, what do you think?
Yeah, well, first impressions, not best for tenants, but good for investors.
Well,
yeah, so like it has the potential, and I think especially with Andy's vision to kind of pull capital out, this property definitely has areas in which we can add value.
Lots of things that we can improve on, which is good.
But a key question for you, Emer, would be like, you see with this flat roof here, like this does seem like an extension. Would there be a risk for us in terms of securing a mortgage in the property because of this roof here?
So the first question would be yes, it would definitely something that we would flag. It's not in a habitable space around the room. Or the roof isn't covering a habitable space, therefore it should be fine. I know it's not a solid roof, it's perspex, but because the
This
kitchen
extension
is over here and this is just the dining area, then should be no issues, but it's definitely something that we're going to flag to make sure that we don't continue on down the line with this and then realise we can't get a mortgage. So next is the kitchen. Kitchens, so actually
Lovely, aren't they?
we're going to keep the oven and everything else we're going to ship out. Nothing else in this kitchen is going to stay. This house just has so many things that have been added on. You have all of this, you have all the weird beams in the house, the kitchen.
A wee cabinet here that you can't even open the doors.
It's fake, which is great. So we'll remove this whole thing, make it a much more light and airy, spacious, put spotlights that aren't dipped back in the space, and it'll totally lift it.
And do we have the bathroom like upstairs here? Because there's like a little bit of a leak here. So
let's
could
go.
It be the bathroom, or
let's go have a look.
Upstairs and have a look.
Oh my god, the amount of cobwebs that I'm getting in my hair. Oh, so yeah, you were right. The bathroom is above it.
Yeah.
The bathroom's also questionable.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what? I would say a lot of people would say landlord standard, grand for rental, but it's just simply not. You can feel the floor, it's slightly moving.
Condensation as well.
Condensation, that's probably where the leak is coming from. This one, let's full rip out, restart. Yeah. So for the bedrooms, do you think that these beams are structural beams and they're going to cause a bit of a problem if we get rid of them?
Definitely not. Like when we look at the roof structure from outside of the property, like you can tell that they've just been kind of like put here for decoration, which I don't know what decoration they serve, as they don't look decorative at all to me, but definitely not structural beams.
We'll get rid of these without any issues.
100%, yeah. So a little bit of surface condensation there. Major concern or a minor one?
For me personally, it would be going outside, checking the gutters. Are they full? Are they overflowing? If there's growth in them, then what happens is there's a bit of moisture coming in just above that ceiling, which is then probably creating a pocket where moisture and then mold and everything else. The other thing then would be to check, is it a cold spot? So if you go into the attic and there's insulation, but it hasn't been put into certain places, the rest of it might be nice and warm, and there's just a wee cold bit in the corner that then is attracting that level of moisture. So it may be nothing, and it's most likely going to be nothing. A good feature, maybe we should keep them and have it as a highlight. What do you think?
I think so. Like I would put like ridged kind of like, you can buy like wee stickers and it would just look
joking.
so.
They're not staying. No,
I'm keeping them.
No, you can take them home. They're gone. So my big concern is, again, we're back to the same in every single viewing that we go to. We find damp, we find mold, and everybody kind of fears the worst in it. There's a big damp mold patch. What do you think is happening here?
So as you can see, the weeds growing out on the windowsill outside, they would attract the water ingress, and then we can see clear leaks here, so clear leak marks, meaning that the water just kept kind of pouring in. So it's slightly different type of mold to what we have observed in the other bedroom, because it's not the condensation and then making the mold appear, it's actually the water ingress causing that to happen. So to rectify this, first of all, we have to get rid of our lovely plants. We'll be removing the windowsill inside, because if we were to just like paint it over and rectify it, the mold and the moisture can just be still live underneath it, and then the problem will just reoccur. So definitely new windowsills for this bedroom. If the electrics need replaced, or the roof needs major work, and the damp is more serious than it first appears, Andy could end up spending most of his budget just making the house livable, and at that point there might not be enough money left to truly increase its value and make the investment work. And that's why we need to identify those risks before we recommend putting an offer in.
So I'm actually really happy with this house. I think that there's huge value because it's really not in very good condition, but structurally it seems sound. There really doesn't seem to be any big leaks, anything that we can't kind of do within the budget ideally. So yeah, I quite like it. I think it should definitely warrant more due diligence. So what do you think of it?
Yep, I would share your opinion, to be honest with you, because when we first walked in, I was like, oh god, the smell. Like, I'm not sure whether people were able to see it, kind of like me covering my nose or anything, but like it does. It's not the nicest of smells, but sometimes smell is an indicator of major issues, and sometimes it's a minor issue. And like, we've been in this house for a few minutes, we've opened the windows, and it's actually not as bad as the first impression. Work-wise, yes, it does need a new bathroom. The kitchen needs to go out. The roof doesn't seem to have any leaks, that PVC roof out there. I think there's plenty of opportunities for us in this house to add the value, because adding a new bathroom, adding a new kitchen will just increase the value. And also like with the electrics, like yes, they do seem really dated, but they don't seem that outdated to be a massive headache for us.
So what do you think? Does this house have potential?
Yeah, I think that's a deal done. We've completed our due diligence beforehand, and now I'll be just phoning the owner, making an offer and starting the negotiation process.
We just need the owner to accept our offer on this property, but on to the next one, the big renovation. We are under big time pressure for this one. Really, we're about to close up the house. We're going to put the plasterboard on, and if we make one mistake, that mistake could cost us not just thousands and thousands of pounds, but also a few months and delays, and we don't want that. So let's go right now and check it out. So the next property, as we know, belongs to Brenda and her husband. So Brenda runs a number of businesses, so that keeps her really busy. She has loads of experience in property, but she needs us to complete the renovation. This bungalow we're taking from a 2-bed to a 4-bed, and it's going to be amazing, total transformation.
So yeah, the renovation has now reached first fix. The plumbing, the electric wiring and the room layout should be in place before the plasterboard goes on.
Brilliant. So as you know, this is probably the most important time because we're essentially sealing up the house. If a trade has put a socket in the wrong place or a pipe behind the wrong wall, we do not want to then have to start opening it up, bringing trades back from other jobs, and it taking so much more time, effort and energy. So obviously we want to get this one right at the minute. This visit is to decide, is the house actually ready for plasterboard? So this one is a 2-bed. It's a bungalow that we are transforming from a 2-bed, 1-bathroom into a 4-bedroom, 5-bathroom. What we're doing today is having a look at the wiring. We've picked out all the different places for all the different sockets, lights, where everything's going to be plugged in. And what I'm noticing is that the last thing that we need to put in here, this is the kitchen wall, a whole wall of kitchen, and there's nothing on here whatsoever in terms of electrics. So it's really important that we cut this now, because this is exactly why we carry out these checks. The plasterboard was meant to be the next stage, but we just couldn't close up this wall until the electrician had the final kitchen plans and completed the wiring. If we'd have discovered this after that wall had been boarded and plastered, well, we just would have had to reopen all of that finished work, and that would have meant not only additional labour, but additional materials and much more money coming out of the client's budget. And not to mention, it could also have delayed every single trade scheduled to come in after we'd done the plasterboarding. So one missed wall really could have pushed the entire renovation back. What we've tried to do is keep the toilet, but then have a utility room. So we'll have stacked units in here. So the door will open out, and here will be my utility area. And then this space in here is actually going to be the ensuite for this bedroom. So this will go up because this actually was a mistake. We did a layout that we thought worked. The joiner did all the walls in the right places, and then we said, no, this is not right. But I'm so glad that we caught it early, because if we had have done this, we would have been raging that we didn't have enough space as a utility room, and then the wrong sized ensuite. So we've switched the two of them around. We'll fix this back into a wall, and this will be the opening. So great that we caught that, and it's much more usable space. So then we paused all of that plasterboarding. We got the kitchen plans across to the electrician and made sure that all of the remaining wiring was completed before anything else was closed up. So once that was checked and signed off, the wall could then be boarded safely without wasting any of the client's time or money. The next house that we're moving on to, we need to get there very quickly because time's marching on before we get there and assess whether or not the photographer could come and take photographs of that house ready for the rental market. So our final property is Kira's. I am so delighted with this one. This is our first investment. We've taken it through a massive renovation, and now it should be sitting ready for photographs, to get it online, to get it rented. So Bridie, what are we looking at this property?
We're going down to the house to inspect it and make a final snag list, which will hopefully then it'll be ready for to be photographed and advertised.
Brilliant. So obviously small snags, we're happy enough, that's pretty normal, but we really need to check to see, is there anything major, anything we said we were going to do that we haven't got done that could potentially delay the photographer? Because if they are booked and they turn up and it hasn't been done, then they could put us back a few weeks, which is not acceptable, because the landlord has so many bills to be paying out. We need to get a tenant in there pretty much as soon as possible. So the transformation in this house is incredible. So we're here to see what needs done, and the first thing I see is, since the last time I was here, this tells me that the bathroom is done, so looking forward to going upstairs and seeing what that looks like. When the house is getting ready for rent, it's finishing off all the wee things that you think you're done, and then you look and go, no, those bits just aren't good enough. Other things that you can't really finish until you've done one bit and then the final wee bit, just like down here at the bottom of the stairs. So here, we get that all finished off now that the floor's on. So things like that, we purposely wait until the end to get that done. The kitchen looks amazing. So delighted with it, it looks fabulous. The last thing then is to put the kickboards on. Because the floor's gone on, we then will cut the kickboards to size and pop them on. Outside, outside the transformation. Again, it's nearly there, but just not quite. So we have a wee bit more to do outside. Let's have a wee look. So outside is class, really transformed. We've lifted all the rubbish away. We just need to clean up the last wee bits of debris and give it a clean. And then look at it, isn't this? It's brilliant. One issue, that wall hasn't been painted. None of it's been painted. The front of the house has definitely been painted. I definitely saw that white when I walked in. This has definitely not been painted. All of this should be painted before the tenant moves, before we get photographs, and the photographs are coming to be taken later on today. We're only supposed to be here for snags, and right now that's not a snag, that is just like an entire wall. It hasn't been done. We were told it would be done, and that's why I'm expecting it to be done. Okay, I'm going to phone the painter. I need to get this sorted before we get any photographs taken of the outside of this house. Right, yeah. Into the bathroom. Right, well, there's no toilet seat. That's not a drama. I can deal with that one. Let's see upstairs. So upstairs, I know there's a few wee snags like under here. Can deal with those. They're grand. The one thing I really want to check is the bathroom. So the bathroom is not finished. Again, I was told it's finished. We're not too far away, but we have no shower screen. That can be put on, but it's this. We need to get the joiner back and finish the end of this bathroom. This is not in any way ready to take photographs of this bathroom today. Need to finish off up around there. Do you know what, it might be good enough for some people, it's just absolutely not good enough for us. This needs to be totally perfect before we put this on the market for let. Okay, so even though there are problems, the biggest being the outside of the house has been painted on 2 walls and the bathroom isn't finished, I've had a look around the rest of the house. The snag list, other than that, is quite small. I'm happy enough. Progress has been good. So I will say another few days, get on to this painter, figure out exactly when he's going to finish it, and get the photographs and get this house online. It does look amazing, so I don't want those silly wee things at the end to put people off.